hand on your heart, look up at the sky, smile, and say, hey, I'm alive. Thanks for being alive with me today. Hey, and welcome to Be Alive with Kate Manser. I am here today with Ricky Hodge, Austin, Texas's sartorial sage. He is a style icon. He is a celebrity hairstylist, and he is my friend and the creator of this hair for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
It is my honor to bring him here today to talk style, to talk personal branding, to talk feeling alive, of course, and also what it's like to have the courage to make big shifts and evolve in your style. Welcome to the show, Ricky.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you because you have had a hell of a year. You
great.
have built an insane following online. You also won Best Haircut of the Year on the Style Awards, right? You also took on a new gig where you're traveling around the country teaching people your super unique style of cutting hair. What would the Ricky of 25 years ago say about the Ricky today?
25 years ago, I didn't know that I would be doing hair. I was content waiting tables and working retail because I didn't have the opportunity to go to school. And all of a sudden, I find myself in this career, in this journey, and pretty amazing. But 25 years ago, I wouldn't have thought I would be here, honestly.
I want to talk about that big shift that you took. You were in your mid 30s, was it, when you just decided, I'm going to totally I call it taking a Louis in our life. You're going to take a Louis, hit that hard left and go to cosmetology school and become a hairstylist. Where did that come from?
I did work in a salon in the early 90s just because I needed a job. I didn't have the opportunity to go to college, and I didn't really know what to do. But because being an assistant, you don't make anything. You're literally broke. I didn't focus on that. My grandparents became ill. I moved back to Texas from Hawaii. My grandparents owned 2 motels, literally Schitt's Creek on both sides. But I tell you, the thing is, when I sold it 2 years after I inherited it, I decided that I needed to do something with the money that they gave me. The motel of selling it.
Yeah.
And I thought, since I didn't go to college and I wasn't going to do that in my mid to late 30s, that I wanted a trade. And so I decided hair, not because of any particular reason. I was between that or CIA, Culinary Institute of America, and
not the Secret Service.
CIA,
okay,
not the Secret Service.
So
But,
chef or hairstylist?
Yeah, and I was in a relationship at the time and I didn't want to move away. I stayed. And I would typically say don't base your life on somebody else. But that was a good move for me without knowing that. Because after I graduated cosmetology school, we ended up breaking up. But back to the story, I decided to go to cosmetology school locally. And there was probably 5 beauty schools. And so I went to all of them. I went to a barbershop because I thought I was going to be like that barber guy. Thank God that wasn't the right decision. I walked into the barber school, immediately made a U-turn and walked out because I was like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. And then I went to a mom and pop beauty school, Paul Mitchell Beauty School, and a couple other beauty schools. And I decided that when I got it down to 2, it was Paul Mitchell and Baldwin Beauty School. And I went and had services done. And I thought, with Baldwin Beauty School, they were bringing in people on a bus from a nursing home. And so they were working on clients. And every time I went to the Paul Mitchell School, they were working on mannequins. And as much as I wanted to go to the Paul Mitchell School because of the name, I wanted to work with people because that's who I am. And so I ended up going to Baldwin, and I walked in, and the owner of the school walked out of his office and he came straight up to me and he goes, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to apply and get some information about going to school here." And he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, I thought you were already a hairstylist. You were looking for an assistant." I was like, so it literally started early. And so I was like, okay, cool. So my first day in cosmetology school, I was like, how the hell am I going to get out of this? Because, I mean, there's a lot of people that are there just to go and because parents are making them or they think this is a good life choice or whatever. But I treated school like it was a career. So I had business cards made. I actually did my first celebrity in cosmetology school,
Did you?
believe it or not. Yeah. And I mean, it's just like everything just kind of fell into place. And I graduated within a year. I went to school every day. But, I had the opportunity to like not have to work. I had money. I was driving an hour to work to cosmetology school every day because I was living in Lampasas, which is an hour away, and I would get up at 5:30, leave my house by 6:15 to get at work to be at school by 8 o'clock, and so I did that all the time, and then within a year, I graduated, and I graduated late '07, but started working behind the chair as an assistant starting January '08.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one thing about Ricky Hodge is Ricky Hodge goes all in.
I go all in. I
Right?
marry it. I marry, like literally, I married my career. And I talk about this in when I go around as an educator, but I don't like to say I'm an educator. I like to say that I'm a mentor because I don't want to go in and teach my peers and my predecessors how to cut hair. They already know how to do that. So I'm showing them what I can do, what I've done to be in the position I'm in. And it's not the haircut. 20% of that experience when the client is in your chair, that's 20%. The other 80% is how you show up. It's how you dress for your clientele. It's the salon you work in. It's who you surround yourself with. It's who you work with. Like all of that stuff is more important than a haircut because at the end of the day, I've seen some people pay a lot of money for a shitty haircut. And I just think that you have to have a talent and you have to have a skill when you charge anything over $100. So,
Yeah. So, one thing is you started your career and you did a really good job of branding yourself. So first you go all in. You're all in on school, you graduate, and then you get out and you're like, I'm married to my career. This is 100% what I'm doing.
yeah.
And one of the things that you did was you curated this signature element of your style.
Yeah.
And I like to think about Lady Gaga, right? And this is someone who came to the music scene and she went all out in her personal brand. And since then she has evolved, which is cool.
Absolutely.
And as you did, but when you started out, you curated this look. So you wore, if I've seen correctly, because I didn't know you back
Yeah.
then, you had suspenders, you had a bow tie, you had a mustache, right? And this really helped you to stand out. So I want to talk about, like you said, it's 80% is how you show up and 20% is your actual skill. How does personal branding factor into that? And what have you learned in your evolution of your personal branding over all these years? Because it's a huge part, if not all, of your art and what you do.
It's first off, showing up is the most important, I think, because your clients are attracted to that energy. And I think for my experience, I didn't know I was branding myself. I just knew that I liked the way I look. And so I started wearing a bow tie to work every day. And I did that for 7 years. And it wasn't a clip on tie. Everything had to be tied because after I tied it, I would mess it up because life isn't perfect and neither was my bow tie. And so I never wanted to seem perfect. My shoes were like, they were aged. They were like kind of beat wingtips, but it was a whole vibe. It was a whole look. 3 years into doing hair, I landed the cover of a magazine for doing hair. And I had to think about it because 3 years into doing anything, you still suck. It doesn't matter what you do. You have a lot to learn. And I think that dressing for the clientele that I wanted attracted people to me. And it didn't make me any better, but it separated me from a lot of people and it put me in front of a lot of people because there's to this day, even though I was voted the best hairstylist in I guess out of 24 countries through the Digital Hair Awards. I think that there are a lot of people that are way better than me today. I think that I never want to be at the top. I want to be somewhere up there. I just don't want to be number one because you can't hold on to that trophy for very long because there's always someone better. And I just think that I would be so heartbroken. But I tell you, if my client says I'm the best, I'm not going to argue. I'm just going to go with it, and I'm just going to be happy that they're happy, because at the end of the day, even though I do celebrity hair, the people that pay my bills are the ones that sit in my chair every 6 to 12 weeks. And so those are my actors, those are my rock stars, those are the people that make me want to go into work.
Well, I'm a client and I say that you're the best.
I'm not going to argue.
Yeah. So, but let's talk about evolution too,
Yeah.
because like one thing that I notice about your story is that you go all in and then you're in it, but you're not afraid to change. So how do you know, like you've changed when you changed careers into hairstylist, you changed when you decided to drop the bow tie and go into a new fashion era for yourself. You changed when you decided to start building your social media presence, which has exploded. And you have a lot of people telling you that you're really cool online, which is great. But talk to me about how, because it's a little bit scary when something is working really well and then you're like, no, we got to grow. We got to move beyond. How do you know when it's time?
I don't know. I'm a Gemini, so I feel like I change my mind all the time. But I feel like, and I say this when I travel, I always talk about, if you want to be exceptional, you have to step outside the box. And if you want to be like everybody else, there's nothing wrong with that, but just know like you're like everybody else. And I don't try to do anything different. I don't follow trends. I don't I know designers, but I don't follow them. Just like hairstylists, like I know who's good and I know the names, but I don't follow them. I just feel like I am my own person, and I live every day as if it's the last day. And I think it's very important, because I think a lot of times we're afraid because of society. And listen, I was afraid for 30 years being in the closet. And then when I finally came out to myself, I realized that the only way that I could be successful is to be who I am. Because if I was hiding the whole time, even I didn't even tell my family until I was 40. So like, honestly, I'm 56 now, so 16 years of just being who I am, and being who you are without trying to hide is how I feel like you're going to be successful, because you just want to be you. I'm not trying to be liked by everybody, and I feel like through life, I think that growing up, I wanted everyone to like me. And at this point in my life, I don't give a shit. Like, I feel like there are five, maybe if you're lucky, people in your life that I really consider friends. And you don't know that until you actually start to get older. And if you have more than a handful of friends, I think you're very lucky. And I think that everybody are acquaintances in your life, because if you think about friends that you've had 10 years ago that you actually thought was your friend, you might still have that one friend that's been with you that whole time, but all of that group you don't really associate with anymore. And I think there's a misconception of what that truly is, but I feel like you don't discover it until you're older. But that's just me.
So what
Yeah.
you're saying then is it's not so much about reading the external room about when to change. It's all about being true to yourself.
You have to be true to yourself if you're going to be happy. And I tell people this all the time because I'm absolutely 100% secure in being a single person. Because when I'm around people, I love it because I'm an extrovert, but I'm also an introvert. Like, I want to go home and I want to be in my domain. I want to be in my castle, and I want to just like be with my dogs. But if I need to go up and show up, I can totally do that. But I feel like I don't need to be surrounded by a lot of people to. I feel like you have to be very comfortable with yourself before you can allow anybody else to come into that. And I feel like as I've gotten older, it's gonna take a special person. Yeah. And I think that we'll probably end up living in separate houses.
Yeah.
But you can spend the night. I can spend the night. But tomorrow, I'm over it. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, we're gonna go do our own things,
Yeah.
blaze our own trails.
Or it has to be a really big house with my own wing.
With your own wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got the Ricky wing and the whoever wing over there. Yeah.
No, I don't. The only time I might get kind of sad is like during the holidays, but those are the times that I prefer to travel anyway. So
yeah. Yeah, shout out. I've been like single for most of the last 10 years. It's
I love
so
it.
good.
I think it's a power move, I think. I think it's a power move. I think a woman that shaves her head is a power move. I think there's big things in our lives that can be a power move, and I think those are a couple of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, so speaking of power moves, then let's talk a little bit about courage, because you're talking about this like really deeply being true to ourselves. But at our core, we are a bunch of weirdos.
I get nervous. I get nervous.
You do?
Yeah.
Like when you're going to wear something extra wild or do something a little bit, is that what you feel, that nervousness?
No,
or?
I don't get nervous about that. Like when I go around the United States and I mentor stylists, right? And I have to go in, I have to do a haircut. Listen, they're not going to learn anything in an hour. We're there to sell shears. But I go there and I say, listen, I'm not here to show you how to do a haircut. If you want to take something from it, great. But I feel like a lot of what I'm going to show you, you already know what to do. And the only thing different that I do is, one, I don't use clippers. Two, I cut it in the direction of the hair. And that's the only thing different. If you want to take that, the class is over. But I think more than that, I think there's all the other things that we spoke about before. Now, I do get nervous because I don't know what that client is. Like, it's a new client, right? And it's a client that the salon picked out that is sitting in my chair that I have to cut in like, an hour. And that can be challenging. It can be nerve-wracking. And honestly, I'm honest about it. I'm all like, this is a hard haircut, and I don't mind telling them because I'm human. I'm not perfect. I never want to be perfect. I want to be really good, but part of that is acknowledging the challenges. And if you can acknowledge that, that's a power move. Those are the kinds of things that, like, I don't want to go in and be like, this is really easy. Listen, a lot of those things are easy, but there are challenges. Maybe a person has a bunch of cowlicks. Maybe that direction is really checked up. Maybe that cowlick is low and whatever. Like, if you know about hair, it can be a challenging situation. So, but that's when I get nervous. With clothes,
Yeah.
dude, I just like throw it on and it's just a vibe. And I don't like when I do my get ready with me or my outfits of the day, I literally take 2 minutes and I just grab shit, usually off the floor, put it inside the living room because that's my stage. And then I go take a shower, I do my face, and then I set up my lights and I do it. And I literally get dressed just like you, 10 minutes maybe. And then I edit it. It takes me a few minutes, like maybe 10. But altogether, it takes about 30 to 45 minutes. That's with me editing, me writing my quotes. And listen, a lot of times the quotes that I write, it just depends. It could be about a person that's having challenges that is a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine. It can be like, if I don't know what to write, I'll just go to TikTok and I'll write positive affirmations. And then I'll see something that resonates with me. And a lot of the times when I write it, it's literally a note to myself. It's a reminder to me, and it's not something that I probably practice, or it is something I practice and I want to share it, or it's something I want to focus on. But I feel like, listen, I'm not perfect. I'm living the life like everybody else is. I just have a good platform. I try and live with just being a positive person, and it exudes out of my aura, I guess, because people run up to me at the airports and at the grocery store and they hug me and they think they know me. And quite honestly, at the beginning of that whole era, it was a little nerve-wracking because it was like my space. But I quickly realized that if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have a space to share or a platform to share. So I acknowledge that. I hug them. I let them smell me. I take pictures. I'll show them my pearl necklace. Whatever it is that they want to see, or talk about, we talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know, Ricky is famous for his scents, for your
Yeah.
pearl necklace,
Yeah.
now the
My
flower
dog,
hat,
my
your
flower, I
very
mean,
cool
it's always
hat.
just something.
Shout out to Oliver and Harry, Oliver Poodles and Harry
That's
Styles.
right.
Yeah.
They are. They're they have a big part in my Instagram.
Yeah, and in your life
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
huge.
So I have told you before when I've been sitting in your chair that like I joke, I'm like, oh, I come here for the spiritual guidance and the haircut
Yeah.
is free. That's what I'm
I
saying.
think that's great. I mean, listen, I don't think I it's really weird because I don't read that much, and I don't follow those vibes of, like my client Aubrey. I like those kinds of things. I just like what I like, and I like the energy, and I am just who I am. And maybe that's what people see, or maybe that's what they feel, or maybe that's what they that's my touch to them. I don't know what it is. I'm grateful, and I'm humbled by it for sure. But I remember when all of that was happening to me, and I would tell my friends, I'd be all like, I don't know what people see, and they're like, you're just you.
Yeah.
And so when people say, "Oh my God, I follow you," and da da da, I'm all like, in my head, I'm all like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I'm just like a 56-year-old man getting ready in front of a camera that literally has a dad bod with no kids, like whatever. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but you do have this sort of raw individuality, right? Like you
Yeah.
said earlier, think about whether you're trying to fit in or stand out. And I think so many of us desire so much to stand out, but we put all of our energy into trying to fit in. And
That's
it's
so
such a
good.
disconnect.
That's so good because you're right. It's true. And I find that to be so valid in a community like Austin that's filled with influencers or content creators, because I look at myself as a different kind of content creator or influencer. I look at myself as a person that is going to talk about things that I like and things that I believe in, and for content or whatever. It's not really about me getting paid. Now, I do get a couple of gigs that I get paid here and there.
Cheers
And
to that. Yeah.
yeah, but I think a lot of times there are content creators that are doing, trying to sell that glass of water right there for $5,000, and they're only going to drink it once. If I'm talking about something, I'm wearing it all the time, and I love it, and I will stand by it, and it's like my brand. And at the end of the day, content creation is supposed to be fun, and I make my money behind the chair. And so I don't need, if I'm going to say I love that water, it's because I truly love it. And I feel like as that is what a content creator is, and that is what an influencer is. But listen, if a big company were to like come up to me like Louis Vuitton, let's say Louis Vuitton came
Yeah.
up, I'd say, actually, no, I don't like Louis Vuitton. YSL comes up, I'd be all like, fuck yeah, dude. I love YSL. Let's do
Hey,
it. Yeah.
YSL, if you're listening.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that. I remember I bought one of the cowboy hats, Ryan Romello. I was doing Jeremy Piven's hair, and he said, who makes that hat? And he said, Nick Fouquet. And I was like, no. I was like, I got it from this guy in New York. His name's Ryan Romello. And as I'm doing his hair, I don't even know this, he's messaging Ryan. And Ryan sends him hats. And I think to myself, dude, I bought this hat, and like I'm literally wearing it, and I tag you all the time, but I'm not getting anything for free. Now listen, I don't need to get anything for free. I got that hat for $250. He now sells them for like $1,500. But I finally went to New York. I finally met up with Ryan, and Ryan said to me, he said, we should collab together. Oh no, I was like, oh yeah, we totally should. Like, let me make my own hat to like sell. And he said to me, he goes, I've paid content creators to wear my hat, and they've worn it one time, but you wear it all the time. I'm all like, yeah, motherfucker. I do. I wear it all the time. I wear it
Because
to
you love
Alaska
it.
because I love it. And like, that's the true influencer, not the person that's being paid one time and never going to wear it again.
Yeah.
So I think that the world and influencing and content creation and TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and all the platforms, Facebook, they have made it really challenging. I think the Kardashians have made this like life that people want to live. And so I feel like it's all wrong because no one's going to have a life like them. Maybe one person, but that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of like, I feel like a lot of shady deals that got him into a position that like that. And I just want to be honest, and I don't want to be the most popular. I just want to be known. Like my haircuts, I don't want to be the most expensive in Austin, but I want to be in the top five. So that's my vision of like how I think about things. Just like I don't want to be the best. I want to be really good. I want people to be all like, oh yeah, Ricky Hodge, he's like a really good hairstylist. He's a really good human. He's a really good friend. Like I want that to be who I am.
Well, keep doing
Yeah.
what you're doing. Yeah.
I think it's important. And I think monetary is like, I think a lot of people get confused of what success is, and it's not monetary. Like it can be, but like everyone has a different definition of that. My monetary is like I want to be popular because I feel like the money will come later. And I want to be known and I want to be a good person. That's the success, and that's the importance that I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you talk about the influencing and your outlook and perspective on it, again, I'm just getting this sense of like one of your radical values is you make decisions from inside of you. Like
Yes.
I'm not doing it because somebody else is doing it.
No.
I'm not doing it because I'm getting paid for it. I'm only doing it if it resonates inside. So I have like actually a weird question to ask
Yeah.
you. If you were to like point in your body where you feel when something's like resonating with you, is it for you? Is it in your heart? Is it in your gut?
It's in my soul.
It's in your soul.
It's just, I don't feel it anywhere. It just feels right. So when it just feels right, I feel like it's just it. Like, I don't fall in love with, I don't love things. It's hard for me to love. I already know that. My mom, it's hard. I've seen it from my mother, like that kind of stuff I don't know the name of it, but it's a cycle. Like you are who your parents are, and you can break that cycle, but sometimes it's just hard. I've seen that cycle broken with my mom, and I've seen it with my sisters, and it's really interesting when you actually sit back and think about it. I also am the kind of person where any kind of altercation or any kind of disagreement, it's usually with my family, but I used to sweep things under the floor or under the rug or whatever, however you want to say it. I don't do that now. I demand respect. I demand apologies. If I'm in the wrong, I'll apologize. And I feel like I'm a different kind of Gemini, because the Gemini I was in my younger years, on the drop of a pen, I would just snap. And now I think about it, and I'm a little bit more. I'm definitely guarded always, but I also am very trusting. You know, but if you betray me, then it's like I literally cut you off unless I get apology. But I'll never forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got to come full circle. So, what is your relationship with self-love? Like we talk about you making these decisions based on like who you are, and you staying really true to that. And then you also say, oh, it can be hard for me to love. Are you talking about others and or yourself, or both?
Yeah, for everything. Like I challenge myself. I'm challenged all the time with like the way I look, and sometimes I question myself on the way I act. So I try to be a little bit more silent with that. I am very confident in what I do when I'm doing it, but I do challenge. I do get nervous and I do get scared. But like I'm human,
Yeah.
and if you say that you don't, then you're lying. You're lying. I saw this video yesterday where this girl was jumping off this huge platform on a boat, I guess. And she had her hands up. And when she had her hands up at the beginning, they mentioned this and I saw it, but her hands were shaking. And then all of a sudden it stopped shaking because you're so far up that it doesn't matter who you are, you're nervous. Now, for this girl to be jumping off that high, let's say it's 75 foot high, jumping off that high into like the small puddle of water, this small pool. I don't care who you are, you're nervous. But at some point you have to own it, and then she stopped shaking.
Lock in.
And then she locked in and she jumped in. And that is I think that's really important to know and to see and to understand, because we're all nervous. It doesn't really matter, like, I mean, if you say that you're not, then you're not human.
Or you're lying.
Or
Probably the latter.
Yeah, you're definitely a liar. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, I mean, then let's talk about how that functions, like being scared and that being an inherent part of being courageous, and then feeling alive. Like, do you get turned on by pushing boundaries in your fashion, in your hair, in your career? Is that element of feeling alive in discomfort for you?
It's not discomfort. I think the way I look and do things, honestly, it's just so natural. Like, I just do me. Like, I don't really think about anything. If I had to think about like why I'm this way, I think it has to really be because of my mom.
Really?
Yeah, because when you see my mom now, she is, even though she's like 20 years older than me, she is really taking the part of being a grandmother, right? So she acts and looks like one. But growing up, she was super stylish. She was a hard worker. And I think that's like, I feel like a lot of like who I am really is because of my mom. Like, my mom worked 2 jobs. She was a waitress at both of them. And I remember one time, not to get political, but she was trying to get food stamps and she couldn't get it because she had 2 jobs. And the government was like, well, you just have to quit both jobs. Well, my mom just needed a little bit of help. So she ended up getting a 3rd job cleaning houses. And I remember going to my friend's house, Ricky, and I walked in and I saw my mom working. I didn't know that she was there. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm just cleaning the house. I was like, why are you cleaning their house? At that point I was embarrassed, like I didn't understand what that was. But I look now and I think to myself, my mom didn't work as a waitress for like the past 10 years, and her husband passed away a year ago, and now she waits tables, and
Really?
she doesn't need to wait tables. I think my work ethic really comes from her. I think just seeing how she has worked so hard just to make ends meet. I had a stepfather growing up, but he was a functioning alcoholic. And so, like, when you're a mother, you just become this mama bear and you just figure it out, And so she did.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you do have that element
Yeah.
rooted deeply inside of you, the style, the hard work, the going all in.
Yeah. But even my grandparents, they owned 2 little motels. They were literally Schitt's Creek. And anytime that I wanted to go somewhere on the weekend, my grandmother would make me like clean a room, and like it was hard work. I'd have to like vacuum and make the bed and wash the
toilets.
clean the toilets, and then she would go in and she would check it, and it was never good enough. But it was an honest living, and I think that at the end of the day, it's not like these kids now where, like my sister, I tell my sister all the time, I'm like, you need to let your boys fall on their face. You need to stop coddling them, because if, God forbid, if anything happens, like, they won't know what to do. And, like, and then I have like my best friend that they, gentle parent. I'm all like, you need to spank their ass. I'm not saying beat them. I'm saying spank them and let them know who the boss is. And then, I've had many arguments with my best friend about that. And I'm all like, dude, did you not get spanked? He's like, I did. I was like, don't you think we turned out great?
We did.
We totally did. But I'm telling you, these gentle parents, like, they are like, the kids are like aggressive.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, man. And, he said to me one time, he said, Ricky, you'll never understand because you don't have kids. And I said, David, let me just tell you one thing. That is the second time you've told me that, and I'm not going to accept it this time. I said, let me tell you why. Because I love you, I love Crystal, and I love those 3 kids. And you're right, I may not have kids, but I help raise two girls. And from what I see from the outside in, y'all are losing it. And that little gentle parenting of like hugging them and like doing all this other dumb bullshit, like, it's not working. Because the book that you read was for the person that wrote that book. It was for their kid. And every kid is different.
Yeah. Yeah. And for everyone watching, you just got a taste of what it's like when Ricky tells you what's up, which is one of my favorite
Listen, he
things
didn't listen.
about you. They're not going to listen,
They're
but
not gonna
it
listen.
plants a seed.
But let me tell you,
You're
I
a
do
truth
tell
teller.
them. I know, and I tell them all the time, I'm like, I cannot wait till they're like 15 or 16 years old, because I'm going to be all like, I told you, stupid. Like,
Yeah.
Because these kids are now, they're like 9, 7, and like, I don't know, 4. 2 boys are the oldest, and they're playing hockey. They're already starting to beat each other up. And they're like 7 and 9. So like in 5 years, yeah, I'm going to be like,
Danger.
told you to.
Danger. Yeah. But I mean, like back to the truth telling thing, which is like what you do. And it's sort of, you are a very positive person. You're super wise and you tell people like it is and take no shit. And I think that's a very important combination because, man, I can think of times in my life when someone told me an uncomfortable truth. And I can think of times when it didn't pan out and times when it did, but you remember these things. And I just had a client, I have a client where I do some coaching and I do some business advising work for him. And he is also an entertainer. And I said something like, oh, and you have to do this and this, and you need to go get your teeth whitened. And he just told me yesterday, that was a year ago. And yesterday he was like, I will never forget the way that you told the truth. But that's something that when I sit in your chair, I hear you telling the truth. And again, it's that like that inner North Star. And I think that's part of what makes you so magnetic and enigmatic is this like really clear sense of truth. And so, that the fact that you do have that Gemini in you, we know that there are layers to this onion for sure.
It's funny because a lot of things that I talk about is just from like, I don't know, just being street smart or just being wise, because I don't read hardly. And I don't listen to podcasts. I'll listen to this one.
Yeah.
But even like Aubrey's, I don't even listen to. Like, I just feel like it's just my energy, right? Yeah. When I tell something, it's how I feel about it. I feel like I don't think I'm right 100%. I think I'm right a lot, but not 100%. I feel like if I'm telling like my best friend, like how I feel about it, about something, it's coming from like, I tell my nephew too, I say, when I tell you something, you have to understand that I'm only telling you because I want you to be successful. I'm not telling you something to see you fail. I can talk about like the cabin in Alaska, and my nephew was like, he's 25 years old, he's about to get married, and I'm all like, you're a guide in Alaska for your senior year in college, and you've been going to Alaska for 16 years, and you have this cabin in Alaska. It's like, why don't you like start something in Alaska, like during the summer, and like rent out the house and put a little cabin on the side, and then you're guiding them, and it could be like $10,000 to $20,000 a week for the house that sleeps 4 to 10 people, and then you take them all the places that you've been going for 16 years, and you make it like an experience, right? You pick them up, you drop them off, you take them deep sea fishing because you're a guide, you take them to like Russian River, and you take them to the spots that we go fishing in. That's like memories for these people. I said, you could do that for the summer and make all the money you need to make. You do that for 2 or 3 years. Listen, it's hard work, but you're building something. I feel like the next billionaire, the next round of millionaires are going to be like plumbers. It's going to be like hairstylists. It's going to be like that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to be doctors. Like I have a doctor client who was just in my chair before I came here. Fucking hates his job. And he's a neurologist. I'm all like, golly, your life could be so cool. He's all like, dude, it sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm all like, you went to school all that time and you're still paying for it? He's like, yeah. And I was like, I hate to be you.
Yeah, you're like, I love my life.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think there's a misconception of when we were younger, or when I was, where your parents wanted you to become lawyers and doctors, or me because I'm Asian, CPA or a nurse. But it takes a certain kind of person to be that kind of person anyways, in that kind of profession. But, I'm grateful to be in the position I'm in as a hairstylist. And I think it's a overlooked, underestimated like career. And when people think of us as hairstylists, up until recent, I think probably within the last 5 years, they thought we were just like, no big deal. But after COVID, if you didn't realize like how valuable a hairstylist was or is, then you miss the whole boat. Because like when they couldn't control anything, the only thing they could control was like you coming to their house to do their hair. And that came with the price. Because I was like, well, you know, we're not supposed to, but I'll come if you pay me this. And then that's when I started to realize, oh man, I must be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to start raising my prices.
There we go.
Yeah, so,
yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about personal value,
I think
because this is something that has been a huge part of your work, and you've now become this mentor and educator traveling around. And I remember years ago when you started talking about the value of increasing your prices and knowing your worth. How did you come to that yourself, first of all? And then what do you advise people as far as the timing of that?
I think that I'll start with the timing. I think the timing is really important because a lot of times people think, okay, I'm going to raise my prices at the beginning of the year. Well, in my opinion, it's not every year. It's when your schedule allows you or tells you to do it. So when your clients can't get in and they're like, hey, I can't get in, that's a good time to raise it, right? When a client is telling you, hey, you need to raise your prices because I can't get in, that's another valuable part. But I think that when you raise your prices, first of all, this isn't still Magnolias anymore. We're not cutting hair like for $35 anymore. Like if you are, great, whatever. But like if you raise your prices, I think it should be double or more. Because if you think about it, if your haircut is $100, you raise it up to $120, you're already getting that. That's your base. That's a 20% tip. You take that and multiply that. So that's another 20% is 142. So raise it to 150, make it like that. And then for me, what I tell people is, listen, my haircut, so Aubrey Marcus told me, he said, hey, you need to raise your prices. I was like, oh, I know, I've been thinking about doing it. And he said, you need to double your prices. And I was like, who's going to pay $140 for a haircut? He goes, you're that good. Now, before that happened, he had flown me to Miami to do his hair. And he said, hey, I'm going to put you up in a hotel. I'm going to fly you to Miami. And And I was like, I've never been to Miami. I was like, perfect. He put me up in the one hotel. I was like, this is great because that's a freaking beautiful hotel. And I remember getting back to the airport and I thought to myself, man, I must be really good if someone's flying me all the way over for a haircut. That's it. It took me 30, 45 minutes. And so when he told me I needed to double my prices, I said, huh. So I was afraid to do it. So I went from $70 to $120 because I thought that was aggressive. And my clientele, no one left. No one blinked, nothing. And I thought, holy shit. And I had one person tell me, he sat in my chair and he said, you'll love this. He said, hey, I got your email. And I said, oh, good. And he said, I just really thought that you would grandfather us in. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, well, do you know what I want? And he said, no. And I said, well, I want to fly first class to Tulum and I want to build a house because that's what he was doing. Every time he sat in my chair, he would talk about that. Good for him. And he said, dude, I'm so sorry. I said, hey, don't apologize. I said, I just don't understand why you don't think that I can't have a life like you. And once a month before I leave on a Friday night, I'm cutting that motherfucker's hair at 175. So 6 months later, I raised it.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, and half of my clientele left. And I was like, yes. Because when you raise your prices, it's because you need to, not because you want to or you have to. Because if you raise your prices too much and your clientele doesn't show up, it's because you're not ready. And so when I started me raising my prices, that started when I was wearing a bow tie because I was trying to get that clientele to sit in my chair. So that clientele sits in my chair now because they're driving G-Wagons, they're driving Mercedes, they're driving Porsches, they're driving beautiful Lamborghinis, they're driving and sitting in my chair. So whenever I raised my prices, that bow tie helped. But it put me in the position to do that. Listen, at the end of the day, if I didn't have the talent and the skill, I wouldn't be able to charge that. But I have the talent, I have the skill. And all of those other validations validated me doing that. And you should not be afraid to raise your prices. If you know that your skill is good on anything, it doesn't have to be hair. If you know that you have something of value, people pay for that. People pay crazy amount of money for value. for luxury, like that kind of stuff, that is valuable. When someone told me when I was charging $70 for a haircut at a bar that I charged too much, I said, you're about to get all of us drunk on this shot that I'm going to have a hangover tomorrow. Listen, I don't drink, but I'm going to have a hangover tomorrow. My haircuts last longer than that. The value is that, right? And, I do scissor over comb, and people will tag me and say, oh, I do scissor over comb. I'm all like, you're not doing it right. My method is a little bit different. And so that's what I go around and try and educate and teach people. But I think for raising your prices, you can't be afraid. And only you know what you're worth. And you have to understand it. You can't like I can say right now that I could charge for my haircut, I could probably charge $250. Now, do I want to do that? I mean, yes, I do want to do that. But am I going to do that? No. If I raise my prices again, it'll probably be like 220 maybe. But the way I do that is I say the people that don't want to spend that money to sit in my chair and I want them to, I'll say this. If you pay me in cash this much money, then perfect. No big deal, whatever. And I do that because I still want that cash. And also I tell these people whenever I travel, I say, when you raise your prices, like for me, I'm all like, I charge for cash $150. The reason I do that odd number is because they go to the bank before they see me. They get $140, it's $150, they get $160. Now they want to tip me, they give me $180. I just made a $5 tip off of my $175 because it's cash. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's those little things that I think is valuable, not the haircut that I'm teaching. Those things.
It is.
I walk women, like if they're getting highlights, I walk them to their car. I open the door. I, give them a hug. I put my arm out and I walk them down the steps and I open the car door and I close it and I say, thank you so much. Chivalry is a dying art. And the things that's going to separate you from everybody else are those things, because they can just go right down the street to another salon that's nicer and prettier. But it's the little things that's going to separate you from everybody else.
Yeah. And what a huge part of the way you approach life is the little things, right? The little things, the pearl necklace, the following your heart, the having courage, the saying what people maybe don't want to hear, but need to hear. Yeah. Those are the little things of again, this just like this inner alignment that you have with like, okay, I'm going to follow this North Star. Yeah. I'm going to follow this North Star. And yeah, I mean, it's not easy to time it sounds like when you did it, timing the price increases, it was a little bit of an experiment. It was a little bit outside of your comfort zone.
Like anybody's, because when you raise your prices significantly and then to do it again 6 months later, that's a bold move. But I knew I was good enough, and so I think that's the key. If you know you're good and you have that schedule that's dictating to you, I can't get any more of your clients in. Everyone's like calling me and they're like, you're double booking and all this other stuff, and you just can't see everybody. That's telling you, I run into salon owners all the time where they're like, I'm booked out like 5 months. I'm all like, you have no life because you're working behind the chair. If you get sick, you can't even get sick because, you go back in because you're trying to make everybody happy, but you forget about making yourself happy. You're taking away from your family, you're taking away from yourself. And when you can raise your prices significantly and work smarter and not harder, that's the value.
Everybody wins.
Everybody, especially the people that sit in your chair. The other people, listen, when someone no longer sits in my chair, I'm not bummed. The way I look at it is someone else is going to sit in my chair that's going to take the value of that, and it'll be fine because I know I'm that good. I don't think I'm the best, but I know that somebody will fill it. And it happens all the time. So when someone cancels last minute, good, I get a break. That's the way I look at it. And that's the positivity, I think, because
it is.
At the end of the day, like some people will be all like, well, I'm charging you for like canceling last. I don't give a fuck. Like, listen, if you pay me, great. If not, you get two chances. And after that, you're wasting my time. And there's people that want to sit in my chair. And if you don't want to take, the value of that, then great. I know I've had people tell me, like they cancel on me and they'll say, hey, I'll send you the money. I'm all like, I don't want your money. Like, I want someone to sit in my chair. And if you don't want to value that, then you don't need to sit in my chair. And I've had people also message me and say, hey, can you get me in at the last minute? I'll do that a couple of times. I have this one guy that will do it all the time. And I said, do you remember the first time you ever came to see me? He's like, yeah. And I said, I need you to go online. I need you to book it just like that because I'm not your assistant. He's like, I just like how you do it. I was like, then get another assistant because I'm not your guy. And if you treat me as an employee, dude, that's not who I am because no one treats me like that because I offer way too much value to be treated like that. Nobody should be treated like that. I don't care if you're paying me. Like, listen, I used to get upset if I cut your hair and you put a hat on. I don't care now. Like, you give me so much money, you can do whatever the hell you want. But just don't treat me as an employee.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. And well, you have this abundance mindset, it sounds like, right? Like, it's like, okay, somebody else is going to sit in the chair. I can raise my prices. I might say no to Louis Vuitton, but I'm going to say yes to Weiss. But that's an abundance mindset. And this also comes out in your sartorial choices because there is an element of maximalism. So what is your view on maximalism and in the way that you get dressed, in the way that you approach life, setting your prices, right? In any way you want to answer the question, is it true that more is more? And when do you say that's enough?
I think more is great. I use this analogy when I go and mentor people and I say to them, like right now, I'm pretty conservative, like in the way I dress right here.
Today, yeah.
Yeah. And I did that purposeful because I was like, I want to change a little, like I'm already starting to evolve in ways I don't even know why, right? So I tell people this when I'm cutting hair. I can do a haircut with one shear. I can do it. So that would be like me putting on a t-shirt and blue jeans and going to get coffee. But I'm Ricky Hodge. So I need a bracelet. I need this. I need the sprays. I need the hat. I need the flower. I need the jacket. I need all of these things. Those are accessories to who I am. And so that's the maximista that comes out for me. I even put a sweater around my bag that I'm carrying, like why? I don't know why.
Your bag needs a sweater.
Yeah,
of course it does.
Sometimes I'll have like a hat on my bag if I don't have a sweater, and I'll be wearing a hat. Why? Those are just accessories to me, and that's who I am. Now, I say the same thing with the haircut. So I say I could do a haircut with just this, but I'm charging a lot of money. So it can't just be this. It has to be all of these other accessories to the haircut, like the kamikaze, which is the slide cutter, the 6T, which is like the shear that debulks weight. Like those are accessories to that haircut that makes that haircut the price that it is. Ricky Hodge is like when someone meets me for the first time and they see me out in the wild, because that's literally what they think they're doing. They're like, oh my God, there's Ricky Hodge. I need to be ready. So I need to have that vibe going on always, because I never know when someone that see me, like at Soho House or walking down the street in South Congress or crossing, like I've had people honk at me. I follow you. I was in South Carolina and I looked through the window because it was a salon and nobody was in there. So I kept on walking and the lady runs out. She goes, oh my God, I follow you on social media. This is my last day at the salon. We're closing it today. And we would love for you to come in. So me and my two friends went in there. We sat down. And then whenever I actually ended up teaching there earlier last year, those two owners came to my class. They're
very cool.
So that whole thing.
Building relationships.
I think building relationships is one of the most key things, period. Because that opens up the doors for a lot of possibilities. So I think, and those don't have to be friendships. They could just be accessories to your life.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
So final two questions
Yeah.
today, Ricky. So first of all, I got to know, of course, what's making you feel alive these days?
Life is making me feel alive. I think I love my profession. And I talk about that too because, like, at some point, every career is a job. But if you're looking at the big picture and you see a profession or a career in that job, just know that that transition happens. Because as a hairstylist, it is a job for many, many years, and then it can become a profession. And that's where I'm at now. I've worked really hard with my head down, focused on whatever that big picture is. I thought I made it before Hanzo. And then when Hanzo called and said, "Hey, we love what you're doing. Would you like to be an educator?" I was like, "Nope, I don't." And they said, "What?" I was like, "I don't want to travel around and tell people what to do." And they said, "We love that. We want you to tell your story." So that's what I do. So I think life is good. It keeps me going. I get up and I'm excited about my work day. So much that a couple of weeks ago I got home on a Sunday thinking it was Monday, and I went into work on Monday thinking it was Tuesday, and was like, why is
You're
everybody
ready.
I'm ready. I was like texting my client, I was like, "Why aren't you here?" He's like, "It's tomorrow." I was like, "Okay, great, I'm gonna go eat." So I went to go eat because I had texted him that. And then my next client, I had already mixed the color, and I was like, "Hey, are you on your way?" She's like, "It's tomorrow." I was like, "Oh my God." And the third client, I had just texted him and said, "Do you want to come in earlier?" Because, and then I was like, "Oh my God, I'm on the wrong day." Because I was just so excited to get to work.
Oh my gosh,
So
after
I
20
love,
years,
after
yes.
almost 20 years, yeah. And the thing is, it's like, that's where you want to be in any kind of career. Like, you have to love it to be successful. Well, maybe not. I mean, I think there's people that are very successful that are probably not happy with their life, with their
Just depends on your definition of
yeah,
success.
exactly. Yeah.
So what about for someone, just as the final thing here today, if someone is just desiring to have some joy in their work, is desiring to be more self-expressive, is wanting to be like Ricky Hodge, look good, feel good, life short, look good, one of
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
signature
Yeah.
phrases, what is your advice to them?
You have to be, well, it's a challenging thing because, like, not always have I been happy with me, but I don't allow people to take my power. I have, but I've learned to control that, and I surround myself with really good people, people that want to see you succeed, and a lot of those are my clients. My friend group is really small. I don't need a lot of friends. I think it's a power move when you don't have a lot of friends and you're a quiet person, because that's the one that values the friendship, and they're very selective. So for me, I feel like just to be expressive is like one thing. You just have to find your vibe and own it, because there are people that I see and I'm all like, man, their vibe is so insane. Like, like, not even like, if people love like the way I look, and I look at this guy and or this person, and that person is like, up here, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could dress like that, you know. But clothes are just the accessories to who you are. Everything else comes from within.
Mic drop. That's it. Thank you so much for coming here
Yeah.
today, Ricky, and for
Thank you
sharing
for
that
having me.
vibe and your
Yeah.
wisdom.
Yeah. I won't even remember anything I said until I rewatch this episode.
Good. Well, most importantly, everyone go follow at Ricky Hodge on TikTok, on Instagram. And yeah, it's a beautiful day to be alive. Thanks for being here, Ricky.
Every day. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you for watching Be Alive with Kate Manser today. It is my honor to have you here. It is my honor to invite you into this beautiful space where we talk about big ideas, life, death, and everything in between. There's no topic off limits. And if you haven't already yet today, now is a great moment to place your hand on your heart, to take a breath, to feel the heartbeat and the energy coursing through your veins, to allow a small smile to come to your face and just say, hey, I'm alive. Thank you for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. Share with a friend who needs a little bit of aliveness in their life. And I'll catch you on the next one, y'all.